You know, there's something poetic about doubt. The way it slithers into people's minds, twisting around their thoughts like a venomous snake. Doubt's their comfort zone, their excuse to stay safe, to never reach out, never touch the fire, never burn, never rise from the ashes. It's the anthem of the weak, the soundtrack to every lost dream and buried hope. And you've felt it, haven't you? Oh, I know you have. They've laughed at you, called you names, pointed fingers with those smug little smiles that scream, "You're a joke. You'll never make it." Oh, it stings, doesn't it? That feeling that crawls up your spine, whispering that maybe, just maybe, they're right. But here's the twist, my friend. That whisper, that doubt, it's fuel. Yeah, it's the kind of fuel that sets your soul ablaze. The kind that lights up the darkness when the world has turned its back on you. See, they want you to crumble. They'd love nothing more than to watch you fall apart like a house of cards. Oh, it'd make their day, their year even, to see you confirm every lie they've spun about you. But you know what makes them squirm? You know what leaves their jaws hanging and their eyes wide like they've seen a ghost? When you stand up, when you keep pushing, when you grind through the hell they built for you and come out the other side, smiling that crooked, defiant smile that says, "Is that all you got?" Let them doubt you. Let them plaster that smirk on their faces, whispering behind your back like a bunch of alley cats. Because when you rise, oh, and you will rise, their shock will be so palpable, you'll feel it crackle in the air like a thunderstorm. And trust me, there ain't a sound sweeter than the silence that follows when they realize they got it all wrong. But don't think it'll be easy. No, no, no. This road ain't paved with gold, kid. It's jagged, full of broken glass and rusty nails. It's nights where you're sitting in the dark, head in your hands, fighting back tears that taste of failure. It's hearing that voice, your own voice, screaming that you're not enough. But here's where you learn the real trick. You take that voice, that self-loathing, that pain, and you turn it into something else. You twist it, mold it, reshape it, until it's your war cry, not your chains. Ah, but they don't teach you that, do they? They don't tell you that every hero was once a fool in someone else's story? No. They like their heroes polished, untouchable, perfect. But perfect is a lie, and lies don't survive the kind of storm you're gonna weather. Imperfect, battered, bruised. That's where the real story lies. That's where you find out who you are when no one's looking. That's where you find out if you got the guts to push through when all you want to do is crawl. You're gonna be alone. I won't sugarcoat that part. The crowd loves a show, but when the lights dim and the curtain falls, they scatter like rats. And there you are, center stage, alone with your doubts, your regrets, your mistakes. But here's the thing. It's in that moment, that raw, bitter moment, that you find your edge. You find that part of yourself that no one can touch, no one can break. You find the piece of you that's untamed, savage, and unwilling to die. And that part, that wild, indestructible part, that's where you become unstoppable. That's where you go from being the punchline to being the one holding the pen, writing the rest of the story. See, they think they're the authors, the ones who get to decide how it ends. But they don't know you've been taking notes all along. Every insult, every laugh, every sneer, it's just been ammunition. And when the time comes, when you decide to let it all out, it's gonna be a reckoning they won't forget. The world doesn't prepare you for that kind of fight. They teach you to play nice, to fit in, to keep your head down. But there's no glory in being invisible. There's no triumph in blending into the gray, numb masses. Nah, the real victory is in standing out, in making them remember your name long after the noise dies down. And that takes guts. The kind they don't write songs about, the kind they don't put in movies, the kind that's born in the silence of your darkest nights. You're gonna bleed for this. Let's not pretend otherwise. The path to shocking the world isn't painted with easy wins. It's painted with sweat, with nights where the exhaustion grips you so tight you think your bones will snap under the weight. It's moments where the only thing holding you together is sheer, stubborn will. And they'll see it one day, those who doubted you. They'll see the price you paid. But by then, it won't matter. By then, you'll have gone beyond their reach, beyond their snickering and whispers. They'll wonder how you did it. They'll ask themselves how someone they wrote off so easily managed to climb out of the pit they left you in. And that's the irony, isn't it? Their doubt was the very thing that sharpened you, that forced you to become harder, smarter, more relentless. They thought they were breaking you, but they were tempering you. And when they finally see you standing tall, it'll hit them like a freight train. Because they weren't just wrong, they were blind. They couldn't see that the ashes don't mark the end. They mark the rebirth. And oh, how sweet that rebirth is. It's not just survival, it's a declaration. It's saying, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. It's the look in your eyes that tells them you're untouchable now, that their words mean nothing, that their doubt was the foundation you built your empire on. And when you lock eyes with them, you'll see it. That flicker of fear. Because now they know they can't control you, can't hold you back, can't diminish you. And it scares them more than anything. You see, doubt is a double-edged sword. It can cut you down, leave you bleeding. But in the right hands, it's a weapon that turns on its wielder. They thought they were wielding it against you, but you took it and forged it into armor, into blades, And now, you don't just survive, you conquer. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. So let them doubt you. Let them jeer and whisper. Let them mock and watch with those eyes that glimmer with anticipation, waiting for the punchline that is your failure. But the joke's on them, because when the ashes settle and the smoke clears, you'll be standing there, battle-scarred, sure, but standing, with a grin that says, "Told you so." You see, this journey is like dancing on a knife's edge. Every step risks a cut. Every breath is a gamble. But that's the price of reaching beyond what they tell you is possible. The world wasn't made for dreamers, for rebels, for the ones who refuse to stay in line. No, the world is built to keep you in your place, to mold you into the same tired shape, to make you believe that comfort is all there is. But you're different, aren't you? You see beyond that illusion, past the lies and the routines. You crave more than safety. You crave the fight, the climb, the rush that comes when you break past the chains and taste freedom. Oh, they'll try to bring you back. Don't you doubt that. When they see you pull ahead, they'll claw, they'll tear. They'll do everything in their power to drag you back down to their level. They'll use every trick in the book: guilt, shame, betrayal. They'll tell you that you're selfish, that you've changed, that you're no longer one of them. But that's just their fear talking. Because deep down, they know they could never do what you're doing. They're trapped in their own cages. And seeing you escape terrifies them. It shows them what they're too scared to admit, that they settled, that they gave up long before they even tried. And that's when it hits you, that cold realization. You're alone, not because you failed, but because you dared. You dared to challenge the script, to rip it to shreds, and write your own. And that's when the doubt shifts, morphs from a weight into wings. You stop caring about their approval because you realize that the only validation that ever mattered was your own. When you reach that point, when the noise of their opinions fades to silence, that's when you become unstoppable. But it's not just for you. No, the shock waves of your rise go beyond what you can see. You become a beacon, a living testament that the impossible isn't as distant as they make it out to be. The others, the ones too afraid to speak up, too battered by life's blows, they start to watch. They see someone who refused to bend, refused to break, and a spark ignites within them. They start to question, to dream, to think, what if? And that's when change begins, my friend. Not in grand revolutions or sweeping movements, but in the quiet moments when one person dares to stand tall and say, I can. So let them doubt you. Let them spit their venom and spread their lies. Because each sneer, each scoff, is another stone in the path you're paving. They're the ones laying the groundwork for your triumph, brick by brick, insult by insult. And when you stand at the top, when the world holds its breath and the realization dawns on them, you'll know it wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about proving to yourself that you were right all along. Because at the end of the day, when the dust settles and the echoes of doubt fade into the past, there's only one truth left standing. You didn't just survive the storm, you became it. And when they see that, when their doubt turns into awe and their laughter into silence, you'll know every tear, every scar, every ounce of pain was worth it. You'll look back and whisper to yourself, with a grin only you will understand, let them doubt me again. I dare them. And then comes the aftermath, the part they never show in stories or movies. When the dust finally settles and the echoes of the battle fade into the distance, there's a silence that falls over everything. It's not the silence of peace or victory. It's the silence of realization. You stand there, breathing heavy, heart thundering in your chest, surrounded by the ruins of what you once knew. And in that moment, it hits you. You're not the same person who started this journey. The world hasn't just changed around you. You've changed within. But don't mistake this silence for weakness. No, this is the moment of truth. This is when the weight of your choices, the gravity of your sacrifices, come crashing down like a wave. And here's where the weak falter, where the doubters look at you with pity, thinking that you finally reached your end. But they don't know, do they? They don't know that this silence, this moment of reckoning, is where you draw your next breath. It's where you find your second wind. Because surviving the storm isn't enough. No, not for you. You didn't come this far just to be another survivor. You came to dominate, to thrive, to take that storm and wield it as your own. You're not just walking out of this battle, you're taking it with you, letting it become a part of who you are. And when they see you again, standing tall, eyes blazing with the fire that only comes from facing the impossible, they won't just see someone who survived. They'll see someone who took the very essence of pain, doubt, and hardship and turned it into a weapon. But here's the thing they'll never understand. It's not about proving them wrong anymore. It stopped being about them the moment you realized their opinions held no power. This is about you. It's about waking up every day with that unshakable belief that you're unbreakable, that nothing and no one can take away what you've built within yourself. And when you meet their eyes, those eyes that once mocked and doubted you, you won't feel the need to gloat or rub it in. No, you'll feel something even better. You'll feel indifferent, because victory isn't the loud proclamation of, "I told you so." It's the quiet, internal knowledge that you were always more than they could ever comprehend. It's the strength that radiates without a word, the confidence that comes from battles fought in silence and won without witnesses. You'll stand there, with that storm still raging inside you. And they'll know, without a doubt, that they were wrong. And that knowing, that shift from doubt to realization, will be the heaviest weight they'll ever bear. So walk on with that storm in your veins, with your head held high and your spirit unyielding. Let them doubt, let them whisper, let them try to piece together the story they once thought they knew. But you'll move forward, leaving their shock and their questions in your wake. You'll keep climbing, keep pushing, keep proving that the only person who defines your worth is you. And that, my friend, is the most powerful truth of all. So, let them doubt you. Let them do what they do best. Stand in the shadows, pointing fingers and muttering under their breath. Because while they're busy trying to figure out how you defied their expectations, you'll already be miles ahead, breaking new ground, reaching new heights. And when the day comes when their whispers turn to admiration, when their scoffs become applause, it won't even matter, because by then you'll be so far beyond their reach, they'll only be an echo of the past, a past that forged you, but one that no longer defines you. Keep walking, keep fighting, keep becoming the storm. And remember, their doubt is nothing but noise. The real power lies in the silence that follows, when their shock turns into awe, and they realize that their doubt was your greatest weapon. And you'll be too busy conquering the next battle to even hear it. But here's the most satisfying part, the part that no one ever prepares you for. When those who doubted you, mocked you, turned their backs on you, start coming around with their hands out. They won't look you in the eye at first. No, they'll shuffle their feet, stutter through half-hearted compliments, and try to weave their way back into your circle. It's almost poetic, really. The same voices that once said you were foolish, that whispered behind your back, are now trying to rewrite their roles in your story. They'll say they always believed in you. They'll swear they knew you'd make it, that their doubt was just their way of pushing you to do better. And you'll smile. Not because you believe them, but because you don't need their belief anymore. You never did. See, when you've been through the fire, when you've felt the scorching pain of doubt, betrayal, and loneliness, you come out the other side with a kind of clarity they can't touch. You know who you are. You know what you're made of. You know the kind of strength that comes only from dragging yourself up when no one's there to lend a hand. And that strength, it's yours. They can't take it from you. They can't fake it. And they sure as hell can't understand it. And it's not just the doubters who will change their tune. Oh no. Even those who barely knew your name will suddenly act like they were there all along. They'll show up in your life, acting like old friends, trying to carve out a piece of your victory for themselves. They'll talk about how proud they are, how they always saw potential in you. But you'll see right through it. You'll see their sudden interest for what it is, a last-ditch effort to claim a part of something they didn't earn, didn't fight for, and never believed in. But you won't let it faze you, will you? Because by then you'll be untouchable, armored not in arrogance, but in hard-earned self-worth. You'll carry yourself with a quiet confidence that shakes them more than any boast ever could. You'll know deep down that their opinions, whether they're singing your praises or muttering insults, don't hold weight. Not anymore. And while they scurry around, trying to attach themselves to your newfound success, you'll be looking forward, always forward, because the truth is, you're not stopping here. This isn't your final destination. It's just a checkpoint, a moment to catch your breath before moving on to the next battle, the next peak, the next challenge. They won't understand that either. They'll think this is the end of your story, the grand finale where you bask in the spotlight. But you and I both know it's just the beginning. Because when you've learned to harness doubt, when you've turned it into fuel, you don't just win once. You keep going. You keep breaking barriers and shattering expectations. You keep pushing past to the limits they set for you, and then you push past the ones you set for yourself. You don't just survive the storms, you become the hurricane that reshapes the landscape. And when you look back, when you see their stunned faces, it won't be revenge that warms your soul. It'll be the realization that you never needed their validation. It'll be the freedom of knowing that you're the author of your story, the architect of your fate. And the best part? You'll smile, not because you've proven them wrong, but because you've proven yourself right. So let them doubt. Let them whisper. Let them talk. Let them scramble to make sense of what you've done. And you'll keep moving, keep growing, keep fighting, because you were never in this to silence them. You were in this to find your voice. And now that you have, there's no force on earth that can quiet it. Their shock is just the beginning. Your story is far from over, and the echoes of their doubt will fade into nothingness as you write chapter after chapter, each one bolder, stronger, and more untamed than the last. Keep walking, warrior. The world isn't ready for what comes next, but you are. And as you keep moving forward, there will come a moment, an almost surreal pause in the chaos, where you'll look around and realize something profound. It's not the accolades or the hollow applause that fuels you anymore. It's not even about proving anything to anyone else. It's about the fire inside that won't let you settle. That voice that whispers, there's more to do, more to become, more to conquer. And it hits you then. that this journey was never just about winning or losing. It was about becoming. It was about turning yourself into a force so undeniable that even the darkest doubts couldn't stand against it. They won't get that. They won't understand that the fight isn't over when you win. It's only over when you stop wanting more from yourself. They'll see your success and think you've reached the summit. But what they can't grasp is that your summit is only the foothill of the next peak. And it's not greed, it's not restlessness, it's hunger. The hunger to push, to expand, to see how far you can really go. Because you've tasted what it means to break free from limits. And now you're addicted to the freedom that comes with it. And here's the kicker. There will be new voices that join the chorus of doubt. As you climb higher, they'll come out of the woodwork. New critics who've never known your struggle, who only see your rise and think it was handed to you. They'll call you lucky, they'll call you arrogant, they'll say you're not as good as you think. But they're just echoes of the past, aren't they? Different faces, same empty words. And you'll smile to yourself, because now you know the secret. Their doubt isn't your burden, it's your beacon. You'll watch them with a calm that surprises even you, because now you understand that doubt is a game you've already mastered. While they waste their breath trying to bring you down, you're too focused on what comes next. You'll see opportunities they can't even fathom, take risks they would never dare. And while they're busy counting your so-called failures, you're stacking victories that they'll only recognize when it's too late. And when the new doubters start to feel that familiar sting, the realization that they were wrong about you, don't expect an apology. No, they'll never admit it. Pride will seal their lips, and ego will keep them silent. But you won't need to hear it. Their silence will say it all. The way their eyes dart to the floor when you walk into a room, the way their conversations shift when your name comes up. That's your acknowledgement. That's your unspoken validation. And it will taste sweeter than any apology ever could. But don't linger on it for long. You'll know by then that looking back is only for a momentary glance, a reminder of where you came from. Your eyes will always be drawn forward, fixed on the horizon, ready for the next fight, the next challenge, the next chapter. Because you're not done, not by a long shot. The world doesn't get to decide when your story ends. You do. And as long as there's breath in your lungs and fire in your spirit, the story will keep unfolding, page by page, with you as its relentless author. So let them doubt. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them fall silent when they see your name rise where they said it never could. You don't need their words. You don't need their approval. You are beyond that now. Your battles have taught you that the only voice that matters is the one inside. the one that pushed you through the nights when doubt felt like a weight around your neck, when hope was a flickering ember, barely keeping the darkness at bay. Now that ember is ablaze, a wildfire that can't be tamed. It's the roar in your chest that says you've come too far to stop now. It's the reason you smile when new challenges come your way, because you know that every struggle, every setback, every whispered doubt is just more fuel for the fire. And when the next wave of doubters steps up to take their turn, you'll already be miles ahead, untouchable, unstoppable, and more alive than ever. Keep moving, keep fighting, keep building that legacy. Their shock was never the goal, but it's a side effect you'll learn to enjoy. Because in the end, the real reward isn't their recognition or their regret. It's the unbreakable, undeniable, relentless force you've become. And that's worth more than 1,000 cheers, more than 1,000,000 apologies. That's the victory that no one can take from you. So walk on, Stormbearer. The world may doubt, the world may question, but you're too busy writing the next chapter to hear them. And when they finally realize what you've become, you'll be too far ahead for them to reach. Keep walking, keep proving, keep becoming. The journey isn't over, and neither are you.